Let's start with transfer deadline day. So just gone 9 o'clock, we're at the training ground. I'm guessing probably couple in, couple out. You're leaning out the car door, doing a telly interview later in the day.
No, I'm going for a tie with a couple of the owners later on, and Ben Strang at 7 o'clock. And my phone's been off for 4 weeks, so there's nothing going to be happening at this end, I'm afraid. No real drama at our training ground today.
Yeah, so all quiet here, ins and outs, which is exactly how you wanted it, and you've been saying it for a couple of weeks that you got your business done. Was, I guess, a little frustrating early in the summer where you had to be patient and look at a few different targets, but overall happy with your window?
Well, I'm happy with our squad. I mean, I think like the reality of the window is we know that we're a pauper playing at the level, so therefore the top teams get first dibs on all of those players. It's not been a crazy window across the board, I don't think. I think today might be a little bit a flurry of loans potentially, maybe a few bids changing hands and maybe some huge bids coming in for hours before 11 o'clock tonight, but we won't be welcoming them unless something ridiculous happens, but I don't envisage that happening at all. I think we've built a good squad. We always try to do that early. This year we probably didn't do it as early as we have in previous, but that's just a consequence of where we are and the fact that the very first window we had a couple of years ago, it was in a pandemic, so it was easy to go early because no one else was going. So that was an easy one. And last year we found ourselves in a really good position going into the summer, and this year a little bit more difficult. So but we're pleased with what we've ended up with. I think we've seen throughout the first sort of couple of months of the season a nice balance in the squad and fairly good options. So that means we can hopefully come 11 o'clock tonight, everyone knows where they are, and I think you then get to a couple of weeks down the line and everybody's 10 games in, everybody's squad is what it is until January, and you can just crack on, which for us, to be honest, has always been the case. We're not ones for drama really, and I think that's quite good that it's calm and we're done early and we don't get wrapped up in the who's available today, because we're quite happy with what we got.
With the contracts moving forward, I know you said it's an ongoing thing. Do you think you could see some progress with tying up a few players on longer deals over the coming weeks? Is that something that could happen?
I wouldn't have thought so, no. I wouldn't have thought anything would be on the cards imminently. We're always talking, having those conversations, but the players are in a good position in the fact that lots of them are in the last year of their contracts. Keeping them here will be really difficult because they know they're earning potential elsewhere. So we'll just see. We'll do the best we can to try and keep them, but we're under no stress. It's we've got 8 months left of those players, if not longer. But the job for us is to have a good season. So keeping this squad together this season is the most important thing, and then whatever happens in the future happens. But that's definitely not a concern of ours at the minute.
On to this weekend, looking for 4 wins on the spin at home, which is a great platform really to be looking at that this early in the season.
Yeah, it is, and if you can maintain your home form, it can always be strong for you. That's something we want to try to do. We want to fight for that, but we've also got to play for that. We've got to be good enough to do that, and we play a team this weekend that have had some good performances, results away from home. Had a good result against Barnsley in the week, had a good win at Oxford, and had a good point at Portsmouth, places we know are really hard to go and get results from. So it'll be a tough game, a really tough game, but we want to try and maintain the form that we've had at home and the start that we've made to the season. As I've said a number of times, we want to get to the 10-game marker and see what platform of points we're building from. So we're okay at the moment, but league positions, people talk about them a little bit at the moment, but they're so irrelevant because there are I think 9 teams on 7 points and we're on 10. So that tells me that we're 1 game away from being about 10 places lower than we are now. We're not getting too wrapped up in that. Points is important. Performances are really important. If we can get a positive result on Saturday, that sets us up nicely. It's our 10th game in 36 days, which is a pretty brutal schedule after pre-season. And after the game Saturday, everyone's got a couple of days to get away from each other, which we haven't had since we've been back in June. So that'll be good, but hopefully we can do that off the back of a really positive result.
Yeah, it's almost the sense of the first part of the season being done this weekend. You take a little bit of a pause and move forward, and with the points, I guess it's a case of if Lincoln win on Saturday, then they catch you up. So underlines how tight the table is. Is there a sense for Lincoln under Mark Kennedy that they're still finding their identity and finding themselves a bit? Obviously very early days for him.
Yeah, look, it's early days for every team, really. I think with a new manager, certainly early days, but they've got quite good continuity in players. They've added in the window quite well, and I think I'm pretty certain they'll add again today and have a different addition to the squad before we play them on Saturday. So whether that person comes into the team or not, we'll have to wait and see. But I expect the majority of teams in this league to do something today. So therefore, we'll see how that plays out. What we can see is they've got a way, a style. They've scored some goals and played in some games very well in line with how he wants to play. It's similar to how he set his Macclesfield team up when he was there, and Joey played under him at Macclesfield for a brief spell. So we have a little bit of understanding of that. But in the end, it's like anything. Like, you can be teams at this level that might be having good spells, different spells, transition spells. In the end, every team in this league's got good players, and those good players in any moment on any day can hurt you. We've seen that when you play the top teams, but you see it when you play any team. So we have to be really mindful of that. We had a really tough game against Lincoln at home last year. We had a very tough game away from home that we managed to squeak a win really late on. It's a different manager and a different setup in some ways, but at the same time, there's a lot of those good players that are still available and still playing and have started the season well, so we need to be ready for that.
With the team news players who were left out on Tuesday night, are they all good to go, those players who were rested?
Yeah, I think I've got 24 players to pick from for Saturday, so we're in a really good position.
Yeah, which is actually what you said the other day around making sure everyone could get a touch of the ball and everybody fit. Then you're there.
We hope so, yeah. We want to end up Saturday in a really strong position in terms of points at the end of the game, going into the week building up to Ipswich, and with everybody fit. At that point, we might pat ourselves on the back for the first month of the season, but we're not quite there yet.
And with Ben Warman, there we go. I knew there was somebody we needed to mention. We've been talking about a loan for him. Obviously, if he were to go to National League, that can happen beyond today, but what are we looking at?
Yeah, I don't know what the latest is. There's a bit of interest, a few League 2 clubs that have shown interest throughout, but nothing any firmer than that. I mean, anything could happen today. There is a couple of plates spinning. If we could get him into a League 2 club, that would be great, but not at the expense of it being a last minute, just fill a gap signing because everyone thinks his deadline down, we need to sign someone. So Ben's really clear on that himself. Don't just sign anywhere because it's a League 2 club. Sign somewhere where you're going to play. So if the right one comes up today and there's a genuine chance that he's going to get good football, then we'll do it. If not, then we've got the National League open, obviously, beyond that. So the sooner the better for him, because he needs to really go and play, and he's missed out a little bit, and he's a top lad who works his socks off. His attitude's class, and we want him playing. So the sooner we can do something, the better, but we won't rush something today just for the sake of it.
With some of the other younger players, last season the EFL Trophy games were an opportunity for some of those guys to get minutes. I guess ultimately, because the squad's deeper this season, it was slightly different on Tuesday night. Was that a conversation you had with some of your younger players right at the start, that the expectation should be different for this season?
No, I mean, most of them are injured, so that takes away that straight away. Kai Yearn played an 18s game. He's been out for a while with an ankle problem, so he played 45 on Saturday. He played 70 on Tuesday, so he's not quite fit enough yet to play in that game. Most of the others are injured or out on loan, so there was a lot fewer of those players to pick from. And actually loaning them out is more possible and better for them longer term because we've got a deeper squad. So you're always fighting that balance a little bit. But what we've been able to do is rotate players around quite well this month, and sometimes it's returned good performances and results. Sometimes it hasn't. But in the end, at the end of the month, we want to look back and see high usage of players, fit players, and successful month. So hopefully we can get there come the weekend.
Cool, that's great.
Mark, quickly on the transfer window firstly, why has it been a strategy of yours to go earlier in the window and get those signings in place early rather than leaving it later?
It just always has been. I mean, I don't like... you probably can tell that we're not ones for real stress or high emotion. We're quite big on continuity. We like to build relationships. We like to coach a team that knows what it looks like. And you can only do that if you've got those players. So we always try to do our business early, because then your pre-season pays off into a good start, which is the whole point. You know, we need to start seasons well. We've done okay so far, so we want to consolidate that in the next couple of weeks. And one of the consequences of that is you've got your squad in early on and you can work properly with them through pre-season. So that's why I say you can't judge too much from the first 10 games, because everybody's coming from a different starting point. Once you get to the middle of September, the window is shut, everybody's fit, everyone's got their teams in place. And the competition started, you start to get a little bit of an idea. But it's probably only from the middle of September onwards that you get a real good idea of which teams, you know, some will really kick-start at that point because it's taken a little bit of time for them to get going. But for us, we need to try and get off of a running start. So we've done okay in the first part, but we need to try and continue that over the next couple of weeks. And then if we have a good a good solid points return from that first sort of 10 league games, then we've got something to build off of. And the reason that if we get to that point, I'll put it down to the fact that we've had players in and we've been able to work with them all the way through from the beginning of June or whenever it was we came back.
Yeah. What are you expecting from Lincoln under a new manager?
The 4-3-3 team, really good in possession, got some brilliant midfield players and attacking players. They've signed really well in wide areas. Charles Vernham, Jack Diamond, Jordan Garrick have given them a real threat. Tom Hopper's a real threat at the top end of the pitch, works really hard, aerially really strong. Ted Bishop scored 4 goals in a week, playing wide and central, but he's a brilliant technical midfield player. We know how good Anthony Scully can be in a wide area. He caused us lots of problems last year. And they've had some really good results. So there'll be a team that want to outrun us. There'll be a team that want to counter-attack. There'll be a team that want to break really quickly and cause us problems in wide areas. And they play with some really good attacking patterns. So I think with the ball, they're an exceptional team and have got really good qualities that they're developing more and more. And there'll be a real test for us this weekend.
You've obviously conceded the first goal in 6 of the last 7 games. Is that something that you know you need to put right?
Maybe, but we've won a couple of those games, so it doesn't really matter. In the end, goals get scored. So as long as we win, last year we didn't win a league game coming from behind. This year we've already run 2. So I'm quite happy with that. And in the end, yes, we want to score first, win 5-0 every week, be the best team, dominate the ball, have more corners, and every single statistic that everybody looks at. But that isn't football, that isn't real life. So obviously we want to be the best team every week. But in the end, we want to win as many games as we can, and we'll do it however it takes.
Yeah, and just finally as well, what are your thoughts on the Papa John's Trophy game just gone with it? A bit of a disappointing performance?
Yeah, we didn't play very well. They were good. We didn't play very well. But we got what we needed out of it from a physical point of view, and others got a rest which they needed. So in that sense, it was fine. No real dramas. You can still qualify from the game. We'll try to, because we want to be successful in every competition. But I think Gary probably covered it quite well. It wasn't a game that we enjoyed particularly well or played very well in, but it's also one that we won't spend a second thinking about from now.